Hello and congratulations.
Thanks, Mary.
We are very honored to have you a part of the 2021 Silver Beaver class for Northern Star Scouting. What an honor. You have an amazing history, and I just can't wait to jump into it. And talk about amazing things. I understand that you earned the Triple Crown. You went to all the three in 1 year.
Yeah, Philmont, Oak Pick, and Sea Base, all in a year.
How did you plan that, or was it?
Well, yes, it definitely took a lot of planning and a lot of perseverance. But in the planning, it's so much in the journey as well as the destination, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so in our troop, what we have our scouts do is partake in the planning as much as possible so that we're not doing just all of the planning. So for example, if we're going to Philmont, we have our Philmont crew actually do the planning for map and compass skills and who the leaders of the crew are going to be and what training they need before we go. And so it becomes teachable moments, if you will, in leadership development, just in preparing to go. So it fits within our scouting program to plan and prepare for each one of those high adventure trips. And of
Now-
course, then the high adventure trips themselves are fantastic
Yeah.
and wonderful.
Top of the mountain without a pun, right?
Oh, right.
Now I understand that now the scouts decided to go down to Kansas City and then take the train to Philmont.
Yeah, that's right. We've been doing that for a number of years. We would drive to Kansas City, park the cars there, and then take the Amtrak train from Kansas City out to Raton, New
Raton,
Mexico,
right.
and disembark. And the guys have a great time doing that. In fact, I'd recommend that for any crew planning to go to Philmont from here. And in the last couple of years, we actually stopped at the Kashari Indian Reservation and stayed in one of their kivas there overnight, which was great fun too. So it was a stop overnight before we got to Philmont.
Oh, how exciting!
Yeah.
That in and of itself has got to be a team building opportunity without just getting on the airplane, flying.
Exactly. It's not just the destination, is it? It's in the preparation and in the going there. It's in the problems you have to solve in getting to where you want to go. And so all of those things feed into that leadership development.
So you went to Philmont at what time of year then? Was it?
Well, it varied a little bit, but they were always in the summer, of course.
Okay, but in that year you went to. In 1 year you went to all three, so
Yep.
it was summer.
Exactly. So we went to Philmont. It was sometime in, I think it was June or July.
Right.
And then Oak Pick, the winter camp, high adventure camp out of Ely, we went in January.
Right.
Deepest, darkest, coldest time we could find.
And why not?
And
Go to
why
Ely
not?
if you're going to experience that.
Exactly.
It's
In
kinda like
in the
what we've
Boundary
got today.
Boundary Waters canoe area.
Yeah.
And then when we went to Sea Base, that was during spring break, I think it was.
Oh, what a great time.
In April.
And which one did you do at Sea Base?
March or April. So what we did was we got on these individual sailing ships where a crew would consist of 10 or 12 guys, and then we sailed from Marathon Island, Key Marathon, the sea base area, down to Key West.
Right.
Spent a night in Key West. I don't think they do that anymore, but had a great time at Key West, and then sailed back and did the snorkeling to and from. It was absolutely great. Absolutely fantastic.
And you did that with your sons as well?
Yeah. Yep.
So they got
Did
to
that with my
participate
boys,
those
too.
as well.
Yep.
Now, when we go back to talking about trains, little Birdie shared with us that you kind of hopped on and hopped off boxcars like they did in the hobo days.
This is proof that you can never leave your youth behind you. That is absolutely true. When I was in college, I was on the swimming team and studying all the time. I looked at my buddy and I said, you know what, I'm going to get out of here for a year. I'm going to hop freight trains out to Seattle, and then I'm going to find a job up in Alaska, just out of the blue. And about an hour later, he came back on the bus we were on. He said, well, do you want some company? And I said, yeah. And so we planned it, and we went. We got on boxcars, which is not entirely legal, but we got on boxcars and found our way out to Seattle, and what an adventure that was. And then we found our way up to Dutch Harbor, Alaska, doing king crab cannery work. And stayed there a few months and worked our way through school, actually, because we'd go back and work the summers in the cannery and come back and go to school, and we were able to pay our way through school by doing that work.
Wow.
Yeah. So the adage, go west, young man, is still true.
That is an outstanding story.
It was great. It was one of the things that, it was one of the most formative times in my life. Absolutely.
What did it teach you?
Taught me self-reliance. It taught me the value of my family and my home when you're out there alone and it's raining on you and you have to just pick it up and carry it by yourself. You find a way, and you start to rely on people around you to help. But it was also a good way to find out who I was. What is it that I wanted to do? What is it that meant a lot to me? And I think that's the sort of thing that you can only do through a lot of time and a lot of reflection when you're kind of on your own.
Well, now with that and having that opportunity and going up to Alaska, I understand you're an environmental science merit badge counselor.
Yes.
You talked about swimming, but you also are pollution, water, conservation. Share some of how that all just kind of came together, if you
Well,
can.
environmental issues have always been very important to me, ever since I've been really quite young. And when I was in graduate school, I eventually got into studying how pesticides and environmental contaminants break down in the environment. So I eventually headed off and worked, and I'm still working 25 years later at the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency here for the state as an environmental scientist, studying what are called emerging contaminants in our environment. Things like pharmaceuticals and medicines, endocrine active chemicals, things like hormones that appear in our water and have the potential to disrupt fish and wildlife populations. So that's what I'm monitoring, that's what I'm studying at work. And so what better thing to volunteer for than environmental science merit badge, where I could bring some of that experience and some of that perspective, some of that expertise, and impart some of that and work with young people on a similar course of study.
Just out of curiosity, what prompted you as an adult to get involved in scouting as a leader?
Oh, good question. When I was young, I was a scout in a troop 525 in Shoreview, Minnesota. And I had such a positive experience at that time in my life. We had a great scout troop, and I had a wonderful scoutmaster, Craig Harrington, who deserved more credit than he was ever acknowledged. But he was such an important influence on my life and on me at a time, really, frankly, when I really needed that. He was always very encouraging, very affirmative, always very cheerful, can-do guy. And when I got older and I had boys of my own, I thought, why not get involved in the scout troop? That'd be a great experience. And so we got involved with Troop 9434 and never looked back. It just got better and better and better. And I found that I enjoyed being a scout leader probably more than I enjoyed being a scout in the end, because you're able to influence boys in much the same way that my Scoutmaster impacted me and influenced me. I
Right.
just wasn't even aware of it at the time,
Right. And see,
but
now you are.
and now I am. It's kind of like being a baseball coach. I enjoyed being a coach more than a player for the same reason.
Right.
Same reason.
Plus the impact that youth, I mean, one doesn't, an individual doesn't always understand what scouters experience. I mean, we all joke about 1 hour a month or a week or a day that we are involved in scouting and how much does this pay? And family members who will say, what? You're not getting paid, right? But we get paid by,
Yeah.
by the youth that we serve.
It's so well put. You know, when I'm at work, I will sometimes say to other people I know, you know, the most important work I do is with the scout troop that I'm involved with. And they look at me a little bit quizzically, like, well, that's a nice thing to say. But I say, no, I absolutely mean that. It is a privilege, really a privilege, to be able to be involved with young men and now women
Right.
in a scout troop in ways that influence them in ways that I don't think I could otherwise.
Right.
This is not a job. It is a wonderful experience.
It is.
And as you see young people get older and develop as leaders in their own right and develop their skills and mature as individuals, it's magic. It is absolutely magic, and it is really the best use of one's time that I ever imagine, really.
Well, let me ask you something. As a scoutmaster, and one to whom I think has made a huge impact on a lot of lives, how did you use Scoutmaster minutes to educate the scouts in your unit?
Oh, that's a great question. One of my favorite ones was we would rehearse the Scout Oath and Scout Law after the meeting. And for my Scoutmaster's Minute, one time I thought, you know, I looked at the guys and I said, we always say a scout is trustworthy, a scout is loyal, a scout is thrifty, but let's change that a little bit. I said, instead of saying it that way, let's say, I am trustworthy, I am loyal, I am thrifty, I am reverent. And it takes on a different meaning when you say it that way, because now it's not just an abstraction. You're saying, this is who I am. And am I this?
How impactful.
It was, I thought, impactful. Thank you.
Did you ever use it again?
I don't know. But those are the ways I use Scoutmaster's Minutes, is to try to take a twist on something and reinforce something that I thought maybe guys should think about a little bit.
Now, you've been described as a Renaissance man.
Ah,
Would you agree with that term?
well, it depends on one's definition of a Renaissance man. Interesting you should say that. I've always taken an interest in a lot of different things. I think maybe because I've always thought that, you know, the successful person is a well-rounded person. But now I'm getting back into the fine arts. I'm doing portrait painting and landscape painting, and really pursuing that. Kind of
So
taking
you
it
are a
from a different
Renaissance
direction.
man.
Well, I try to live up to the meaning of the term.
I want to take the time to say thank you so much for everything that you have done for scouts as well as adults in this wonderful organization. And thank you so much for being a part of this Silver Beaver group, because you put a new definition to the term Silver Beaver.
Oh, well, thank you very much, Mary. I
You're
appreciate it, and I definitely appreciate the honor bestowed on me on this. I truly never thought that I would be sitting here talking to you about it.
Well, neither did I, but I'm having a ball, and I'm so glad I've had the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you.